This week we are in Region 3 for cross country. We meet a young man out of St. Thomas, Sean C. Harrison, and we're going to be sharing that story with you now. Hi and good afternoon, Sean.
Hello, good afternoon, Dahlia. Good afternoon, Johnny.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Wonderful to have you. Born and raised in St. Thomas, Sean?
Yes, I was all my life, yes.
What part? Tell me about growing up in St. Thomas.
Okay. I came from, perhaps what you would call the urban area of the country, growing up in Red Spend on, the housing scheme there near to Morant Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I have two older brothers, Dexter and Dave, and an older sister, Sandy. My mother, Patricia Harrison, was a school teacher. My father was a bus driver / carpenter. Who were musical persons and would have imparted to me a wonderful gift of song, which started to gain notoriety first in the Barnby Seventh-day Adventist Church at age 3 until I was singing at other venues all over the parish.
Wow.
I was pretty much a lively, rambunctious child, even though I was subject to many bouts of ill health, which, proved a bit problematic for me. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that to date, I have recorded over 41 illnesses that would have affected me. Mm-hmm. But there was none so telling as a diagnosis at age 19 on my first job at NCB in Kingston at the Foreign Exchange Department of Paranoid Schizophrenia, which brought about a very marked change in my cognitive processes, interpersonal interactions, and general life experience through the years.
All right, so but not go so far, Sean. You skip a whole heap of things. I want to take my time and get there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take our time and get there.
Okay.
So growing up, mom's a teacher, dad's bus driver, carpenter, and had a lot of music in your home.
Yeah.
So life for you in St. Thomas, it sounds like it's a rambunctious. You used to run up and down and play in between. Because I used to be ill too as a child, and so whenever I was not ill, I took the opportunity to do everything. It sounds like that's what you did too.
Oh yes, very energetic at periods,
Yes.
I was just bouncing off the walls all over the place, running up and down in my community, looking coolie plum, tambourine, June plum, red plum, all of those things I had at my disposal. Yes, and I took full advantage of those fruits and fruit trees that were scattered around my community, Yes, man.
One of the things about being a sickly child too is that often everybody gone to school, leave we at home.
Oh, yes.
And it sounds to me like poetry and music were the two things that you anchored yourself to during that time. Am I correct?
Well, correct in part because, yes, music, which was actually my first gifting and my first love, was my life. And my mother and father, were actually parts of two groups. One, a trio. My mother was, a part of a trio in the church. My father was a part of a quartet. He played the organ at the Morgan Seventh-day Adventist Church at LaSalle Harrison. And
organ not easy to play.
Oh yes, and there was always music in my home all around me. And having been blessed with the gift of song, I just listened to all kinds of music and sang to even the music that my brothers would bring in the home, as older persons, so I was listening to a lot of R&B as well as, other types of music.
Yeah. All right, so from a young age, I know, very bright. You matriculated to the University of the West Indies twice.
Yes.
But you didn't pursue that.
Yes.
Going through school, did you think to yourself, okay, poetry and music is what I want to do, or were there other career hopes for you when you were in school?
No, and what I should have clarified was that poetry didn't come until many years later into my adulthood. That was when that actually occurred when, because of medications I would have been taking for paranoid schizophrenia, diagnosed at age 19. When those medications messed up my voice, and I wasn't able to write songs anymore or sing publicly anymore, I turned to other forms of creativity, and so I developed a wellspring of inspirations to write poetry and other forms of expression, such as Christian discourses, and to date, proverbs and quotes, as well as to do some general writing, correspondences and stuff like that, even for other persons. So I would have been actively involved in writing, later on. Into my adulthood.
So talk to me about still, so what is it that you had envisioned for yourself? Sometimes a lot of young people, because mom's a teacher, they want to teach. I thought teaching is so noble. Still do. So my mom thought I said teaching is for me. What did you want to do?
Oh, the funny thing is that even though I loved singing so much, I never thought of singing as a career when I was a little boy. So I remember telling my mother that I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And, she ended up, the person that she was always providing material and resources for us to be, our better selves. She bought me the Modern Medical Guide, which was a large, hardcover book that, talked about disease conditions and remedies and symptoms and stuff like that. So that was how, actually, having been very sickly, I was able to deal with a lot of the things that happened to me because, I read that book even from an early age. I read it constantly coming up. Even when my mother wasn't able, to maintain her vigilance in keeping me well, I wouldn't learn of remedies, from that book, as well as from a community practitioner, Mama Tiny, that would have helped to keep me in health. So I've always had an interest in health, but it was only later when I realized that my abilities were really not along that line, that I said, that I would have wanted
to do that,
to become, a vocalist, a professional singer.
So you matriculated to UWI twice, didn't pursue it. Is there a specific reason you didn't pursue it?
Well, at the time, the initial reason was that my family, was in quite a financial
wasn't in a position for you to go.
And quite a financial bind and needed help. So I decided to look for work. And also, because my only interest was really music, I did not see a program at the University of the West Indies that would have fit into what it was that, that was my true love and what I really wanted to do. So, I worked and, eventually would have had to stop working because of the sickness, the illness, and, eventually other things took precedence and my life just took a totally different
turn.
So
you entered the world of work at 18. Went to the bank as a clerk. Tell me what happened there.
Okay. Well, what happened, was that I having been, in a job like banking, wouldn't have realized or seen that it would have placed many demands upon me. But apart from that, I did about maybe 9 months in that institution. Because while I was working there, I ended up having been, going to a charismatic crusade because I had deep-rooted issues that were not resolved, and I just thought my best option would have been to seek spiritual help. Well, coupled with the stress that I underwent on the job, as well as, long-standing emotional schisms and psychological problems, I ended up, going to that crusade and would have encountered to, spiritual activity that would have driven me to a state where I would have needed hospitalization as my mental faculties were completely unraveled. So I ended my job and my career in in banking, and I had to come back to St. Thomas, to my family's home, to recuperate. And so, things went on from there and until I ended up eventually back into the world of work, and I would have left the world of work in 2013 and have been, seeing to my own creativity and trying to establish myself in the arts and, bringing to the fore and to the light the abilities that I possess creatively.
So I want to thank you, even before we get to the end of this interview, Sean, for sharing your story, because at a time when people are still struggling with the idea of mental health, people don't want to share their mental health challenges, but I feel like a moment like this, being able to share it and talk about how you've overcome it, will empower others. And so, in case I forget, I just want to pause to say thank you for speaking with us about it. It could not have been easy. It could not have been easy.
No.
So now you're back home and you're recuperating. How challenging was that journey for you?
Well, actually, having been diagnosed at age 19, of course, I would have realized that something extremely foreign, began to be a part of my experience. My psychological processes were completely unraveled at that point, and that was 1997 when I was first diagnosed. I have been actually dealing with the challenge of mental illness, for 25 years now. I'm now 46 years old, so a lot of things would have happened in between. But, paranoid schizophrenia can be a very debilitating disease, which, will sadly rob most sufferers of their productivity and future. So I had to end up going on the slow track, as it concerns, establishing myself in a career, raising a family, advancing myself educationally. All of that would have had to, take a backseat to what it was that I was experiencing of mental illness at the time. So I would say mental illness kind of made me a bit of a late bloomer.
Yes.
And, they were very real struggles. Because even when I entered the world of work in 2003, after having been diagnosed in 1997, I would have had challenges, to actually continue to do my job in a way that was satisfactory, continue, to focus on what it was I was doing.
Yes.
There were the issues of paranoia, and there were hallucinations as well as delusions at different points in my experience, which were all features of the illness. And I must let you know that the illness with which, I was diagnosed is actually the most severe form of mental illness, yet the most common, and that is paranoid schizophrenia.
All right, Sean, I'm going to ask you to hold 1 second for me. I have to take a break, and we're coming right back. We're speaking with Sean C. Harrison, songwriter, singer, author. We'll be right back.
Register your business or company online with the Companies Office of Jamaica at www.orcjamaica.com. The time by the Companies Office is 14 minutes to 3 o'clock.
Are you ready for something new? Sunshine Cereals Coffee Flakes is an all-in-one breakfast made with crunchy toasted flakes of corn coated in a delicious blend of roasted coffee. Breakfast just got simpler. Pour yourself a bowl of tasty Sunshine Cereals Coffee Flakes and kickstart your day. Sunshine Cereals Coffee Flakes, your new morning brew. Hey, you ever see a Jamaican pack a barrel from foreign? Well, using the same technology, Popeyes have packed the Max Box with more value for your money. Pull a Max Box crunch pack with 1 spicy chicken sandwich, plus 3-piece chicken tenders, plus 1 regular fries, plus a 16-ounce soda. That's maximum crunch. Or grab a Max Box Classic pack with 2 pieces of chicken, 1 spicy chicken sandwich, 1 regular fries, plus a 16-ounce soda. That is maximum value. Unpack a Max Box from Popeyes or order through Hello Food. Good food, okay?
Shake, rattle, roll, and add some fun. Make delicious shakes with Nestum. Listen up, mom, toddlers run, come. Shake it up with Nestum. Smile away, shake and sway with 3 different flavors you can play. Shake, rattle, roll, and add some fun. Shake time with Nestum.
Make shake time fun and nutritious. Try Nestum flavors today in chocolate, vanilla, cinnamon, and strawberry. Nestum from 2 years onwards.
For reach the next level in your life, you can't afford to take things up a notch. Just like dragons, Spitfire, off the boulder. We work harder in the streets, so naturally, we play harder till you see it. All over harder, one harder. Spitfire, the girl that would like it bolder. Bartender, what them told ya? Spitfire. Take it up a notch. Dragon Spitfire, a part of the Dragon Style family. 18 years and older. Drink and live responsibly. This is 94.5 FM.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Sean C. Harrison. Such an inspirational story from this young man out of St. Thomas. So, Sean, as you said, one of the most common, but very challenging. But you managed to navigate that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And one of the things that it did was it helped you to sculpt your insights through poetry and other forms of expression.
Oh, yes.
Walk me through that.
Yes. Well, the thing about it is that, after having, been diagnosed with the illness and having been subject to the kinds of thought processes that would have, been engendered from the disease process, it made me, become very introspective and inward looking. It also gave me a sensitivity to the different, things that, persons in the human race actually go through and suffer.
Yes.
So I would have been able, through having, been dealing with this illness, to, develop a real compassion and empathy for many different kinds of experiences, adverse experiences, and, having also, been reading, trying to make sense of my situation, trying to explain what it is I was going through, and, trying to seek answers, it really would have made me, more able to tap into the nuances of the human experience that, the human experiences that would make up, all of us. So, I realized that having created that wellspring of, knowledge and, as I said, feelings, emotions, it wasn't hard for me, to write about the woman who was in a battered relationship. It wasn't hard for me to write about the child who experienced abuse. It wasn't hard for me to write about the grapplings that we have with death. It wasn't hard for me to write about, so many other things that would have made up what it was that my poetry, my music, and other types of creativity, it wasn't hard for me to, find in that, experience, the will and, the desire to express and to bring to light so many things that, as I said, are a part of the
whole experience that you have gone through.
And it was truly therapeutic for me, truly therapeutic, and it still is.
Wow.
And I'm thankful that I have been blessed in that respect. Yes.
Blessed so much that you are a published author.
Yes.
You have I'll allow you to tell the listeners. You have poetry of other work on Amazon and createspace.com. You've collaborated with popular artists in penning lyrics for a debut album. You've released an EP.
Yes.
Talk to me about the EP, because I remember in our conversation you said you realized you couldn't sing songs anymore, so you turned to poetry. But your voice is back, eh?
Not totally, you know. The fact that I have to be on orals and injectables, you know, caused me to not be able to sing most of the time.
Right.
That little EP, you know, which was a very small effort by me.
No. An EP is in no way a small effort. Let me tell you that, Sean.
Let me tell you. When I left my job of 10 years at the St. Thomas Health Department, and having changed my medication, I realized that my voice was actually coming back. And whenever it is I'm not on any medications, I mean, my vocal abilities just soar to heights that I would never even dreamed of. What happened was that, you know, I changed the medication at the time in 2013. I was able later that year to do some work in the studio. So I chose 7 songs and ended up having recorded those 7 songs and having, you know, tried to get them on different platforms and, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's actually there on my YouTube page, you know, the 7 songs that I released at that time. And, you know, it's also on a website called ReverbNation.com. The process was really, and today was and still is a slow process of trying to get some of my songs down and recorded, because my voice quality, my vocal quality fluctuates so much. But I am so thankful that as a part of my, you know, spirit of determination, I have been able to record a good number of my own songs with accompaniment that I myself had also composed. I myself had done the backing track for these songs on my little Yamaha PSR 250 keyboard, and that was like maybe over 15 years ago.
Yes.
And it was not until, it was more than 50 years ago, it was not until I was able to access studio, you know, the studio services, you know, in the Marbeck area, and it wasn't until I was able to sing many years later that all those songs actually were, those 7 songs, you know, actually came, you know, together for me, you know?
Yeah. Boy, purpose is something else. And you know, I'm listening to you, Sean. It's not easy.
Yes.
And I have had friends who, you know, the temptation to not take the medication is there.
Yes.
Because when you take it, there are challenges.
Yes.
But your story is so inspirational because you faced them, and out of that came such beauty.
Yes.
4 ebooks of poetry available online.
Yes.
Collaborating on debut albums, doing EPs. It says to everybody who is listening that you should never be afraid of mental health and mental wellness.
Yes.
Because some of us sit in it and don't address it.
Yes.
But look at what you've done. You've done so much that people who, quote unquote, fully mentally well don't do it.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to achieve it.
Yeah.
What's next for Sean C? I'm excited to hear it. What's next?
Well, you know, truth be told is, you know, I have been doing a lot of work on my social media pages as well as community work. You know, also continuing, you know, to write motivational pieces on my social media pages. You know, I have been, as I said, you know, recording, you know, other songs in studio from time to time, recording poetry, you know, with the hope. And I also put out 2 more recent publications, one which is a book of my personal testimonies about what God has done in my life, as well as a small that, I am now seeing, more than I ever envisioned, that the sky is the limit. And wherever the Lord takes me, and wherever destiny takes me, I just go for the ride. And the thing is that I still have a number of challenges, but I am glad that I have been afforded the opportunity to do what I love at this point in my life, and I'm just watching to see, how it all continues to play out. Because even, this interview with you and Johnny, came as quite a surprise to me, but, still glad that I have been given another platform to tell of my journey and what it is that I am doing now. So the sky's the limit, Dahlia. The sky's the limit for me.
The sky. I'd say, Anthony. Sean C. Harrison, you have just taught us that there are no limits. There are no limits in what you have achieved. And I hope that, some young person who is tuned in right now, a parent, a guardian, a friend, a colleague, who may or may not feel like there's someone with them that needs some help with their mental wellness, that they should not be afraid to take that step, because it's a step towards greatness and purpose. Because you took that step, and wow.
Such courage being shown here, Daley. I tell you. Big up yourself, Sean, every time.
Big up, Sean.
Thank you, Christopher.
All right. So give me, we have like 30 seconds. Give me your socials again so people can go and find you.
Okay. Well, almost everything that is on the internet for me is under the name Sean C. Harrison. So there's a YouTube page. There are 2 Facebook pages. There is a Twitter page. And, there also is an Instagram page, right? And there are other sites on the internet where you can access, poetry and everything, free of charge. You can use those resources however you wish, whomever
wants to use it. All right, Sean. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, and God bless you, man.
Yes, thank you so much.
This is 94.5
FM.
Yes, it is. We're coming up on 3 o'clock. We've got your headline news coming right up.